The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Gwilda Wiyaka's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the Science of Magic or endorsed in any manner by Gwilda Wiyaka, Relmar McConnell Media Company, its affiliated networks, stations, or employees. Welcome to the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, a program dedicated to uncovering the unified nature of reality and humanity's ever-evolving place as truly galactic beings. For more information on the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit us online at www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Welcome to the Science of Magic, a place where science and magic come together to transform fact into evolving truth. We're coming to you through the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net, and can also be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. This hour, we'll be exploring the real event. Every religious and shamanic tradition I've studied refers to the era in which we are now living as, at very least, extremely transformative. Some predictions are in written form, like the Holy Bible. Others are oral traditions handed down for generations. Some are encrypted in ancient structures, ruins, on cave walls, and so on. From the Mayan calendar to Revelations, this period has been prophesied to be monumental. Over millennia, interpretations of the prophecies have varied widely. We have the dubious privilege of living in these interesting times and watching it all unfold. Every step of the way, there have been dire predictions and hype. From Y2K to 12/21/12, doom and gloom has been the common theme. Yet, while many of us are busy looking for some glorious rapture, devastating asteroid strike, a solar flare to toast us, or for the world to simply blow itself up, the real event has been slipping by unnoticed. What is the real event? A steady increase in ambient frequency is being caused by our solar system's relative positioning in the galaxy. The sun is moving into a location containing higher frequency, exciting the leading edge of the sun's heliosphere, causing more plasma to form and resulting in more luminosity. The increase in light or frequency is transferring from the sun's electromagnetic field into interplanetary space, bathing our solar system in ever-increasing light. To give a simple analogy, let's work with frequency expressed as temperature. A beaker of water held at a consistent temperature above freezing but below boiling is in liquid form. There are reliable rules that apply to water as a liquid. They never change. You can drink water, but you can't breathe it. If the temperature rises above boiling, the liquid becomes gas. The rules that apply to gas are completely different than that of liquid, but they too can be relied upon. You can breathe gas, but not drink it. When the water is exposed to temperatures below freezing, it becomes solid and subject to a third set of rules that are also consistent. You can neither breathe nor drink a beaker of ice. Our interaction with the different forms of water in totally variant ways affects us differently. Too much exposure to ice can drop our temperature to the point of death. Too much steam can burn us. Drinking water sustains us, while breathing it will kill us. While we've been watching for an alien invasion or for the world to end, we've been like a frog in a pan of water whose temperature has been slowly rising. Before the frog becomes aware of the danger, he's boiled to death without ever recognizing the need to simply jump from the pan. The increasing ambient frequency on the planet is changing all the rules. We need to change with it or risk becoming like the aforementioned hapless frog. This is a grand opportunity to evolve beyond our wildest dreams. It's also a recipe for disaster. The future of our race is totally dependent upon our responses, or lack thereof, to the rapidly changing rules as individuals and en masse. If we continue to apply the old rules and belief systems to the new frequency environment, we're doomed to failure. Nature has been course-correcting the increased frequency all along, and if we don't follow suit, we're soon out of the natural order. Eventually, things out of natural order become extinct. Consider the fate of the dinosaur. There was a time on the planet that supported their form. That time is no more. Unlike the dinosaur, humans have an amazing capacity to adapt and evolve. However, this evolution is not only a personal choice, it's a totally participatory activity. Our guest this hour, Laurie Wondra, shaman, psychic medium, and transformational energy healer. Laurie is the author of Becoming a New Frequency, Beyond Healing, and the I Am Journal. A former information technology executive, Laurie understands the balance between energy and science in metaphysics. After this commercial break, I'll introduce Laurie, and together we'll explore the concept of healing and evolution through frequency mastery. So don't go away. You're listening to The Science of Magic. Prior innovative episodes can always be found on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Laurie Wondra, shaman, psychic medium, and transformational energy healer. Laurie is the author of Emerging Energy, Beyond Healing, Becoming a New Frequency, and the I Am Journey Journal. Her website, www.yourlifecore.com. Laurie, thank you for joining us on The Science of Magic.
Thank you, Gwilda. I'm so happy to be joining you today on your show. Thank you.
Your bio states that you're a shaman. Where did you study?
Gwilda, I've studied with some of the shaman from around the world. I've had a chance to study with them here in the United States as well as in Peru and Argentina. So I'm really a study of a lot of different cultures and belief systems on shamanism.
So is it mostly South and North American, or did you go elsewhere?
Yeah, mostly South and North America, yes.
Great. It's amazing how much they have in common, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Yeah. So how do you incorporate shamanism into your work?
That's a great question. I'm a retired, or I left the corporate world as a CIO, a Chief Information Technology Officer, a number of years ago, and now I do executive consulting in the corporate world. And I also have private clients that I see. And in both cases, I work with energy. I work with the knowledge of the universe and the wisdom that comes to us in many different ways. And I use my shamanism to both measure and read and interpret energy, but also to bring that insight or bring that information into both the corporate world as well as my individuals that I work with. And in both cases, it's very healing. It's a very healing and gentle energy, and I think in some cases that's what's needed for us right now is more of this gentle energy.
So speak to me a little bit more about the gentle energy.
Well, we know that the Earth started going through a major transformation in around 2012 as we went through the center of the universe. And that's also where the feminine energy really started to come in stronger. And so in more corporate arenas where there might be more masculine practices and processes and more regiment and rules, it's really important that we balance that energy. And I think a lot of light workers and a lot of healers are being called to either stay in corporate America or to be in corporate America in order to bring more light into the business arena.
So we're talking about bringing the feminine energy to counterbalance the masculine. Is that what you're looking at there?
Yeah. It is, because it's important as the earth continues to transform and we as individuals continue to transform. The balance of energy, we all have masculine and feminine energy, but organizations oftentimes aren't looked at as having a masculine energy or a feminine energy. And so if we look at bringing balance into all parts of our life, it's also bringing the feminine energy into maybe more masculine positions, jobs, or corporations that will help balance the energy of a company.
You know, one thing I've danced in the feminine, of course, the shamanic and feminine energy most of my life. And one of the things that I've noted that most people don't think about is how powerful the feminine is in its own way. And it seems like we have to be mindful that there is that power, because we've been taught that feminine equates powerlessness. Could you speak to this?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, being in information technology and around computers, and actually my first 17 years of my career I was in an engineering company, a lot of masculine science, rigid studies and practices in that. And the feminine energy helps balance that with the creativity, the intuitiveness, that place of peacefulness. And so as the world might be feeling a little bit more chaotic nowadays, or it might feel that we have to have more control, the feminine energy helps balance that in saying that you can still have power, you don't lose your power, but it doesn't have to be so tight. And I think that's where creative energy comes in. I believe, I've worked with teams all over the world, that when you allow that freedom and that creativity and that self-directed with some boundaries, not so much rules and regulation, but some really good boundaries, you really have productive companies, you have productive individuals, and their energy just glows. And that's one of the benefits I have, is I can see people's energy. I can sit in a boardroom and I can see the glow around people and see where those individuals or the energy of the team is off. But it is important to have that balance, because it brings that diversity into a corporate culture or into individuals' lives when you can balance that.
Yeah, the balance is so important, particularly now as we're moving into a time that supports balance. If we try to remain in the patriarchal standard, we become increasingly out of balance. Don't you agree?
I do agree with that. That's a great point. And you can't be one or the other. That balance is really important. And I think as individuals, when we feel off, it's because something is out of balance. We either have too much masculine energy or too much feminine energy, and we start getting tired. Our energy, our source field starts feeling unplugged, and we start feeling the physical ramifications of that.
Yeah, it takes its toll. You know, after looking at your material, I can't help but notice you're not only very multifaceted, but you seem to have come in that way. Do you feel you came with a particular purpose at this time?
I did. I am a teacher. I'm a healer of healers, and thus, both in the corporate world as well as individuals that I work with or I coach, it's teaching people. It's one thing for me to work with them and heal them or heal their energy. I'm not talking about a physical or medical healing, but more of an energetic standpoint. But it's more important for me to teach and to share the wisdom of the universe and provide people with their independence and understanding of their own spiritual growth. And so I am a speaker. I am an author. I speak quite frequently here in Minnesota as well as other places in the United States. And that is my purpose, is to share messages of the universe. And as a channeler, a lot of times, probably 90% of that time, the words are not mine. They come from beyond. That information is seeking a way into our lives here on Earth. And I'm
Got it.
one of many
Got it. So, do you see frequency on the planet is changing? And if so, what do you attribute it to?
Well, I attribute it to, back in 2012, the Earth physically moved through the center of the galaxy, the center of the universe. And it's at that point that so many of the Mayan calendar and other sources talked about moving out of the masculine and beginning into that feminine energy. And so we have that potential, or that movement of the universe and of our solar system. But there's more light coming onto the planet. And you've touched on that before in your episodes. And that light is creating this work that we need to work through our shadow energy, to work through our patterns and our behaviors that were maybe old, that no longer sustain us going forward. And I think that there is planetary influences, but I also think that there's internal soul influences, that it's just time for many of us to be on this path of evolution.
I thought the center of the galaxy was a black hole.
Yeah, there's different mixes on that, and I feel that we have gone through a center, and if that's a black hole, then we've come out the other side on the light.
I thought everything that got into the black hole got crushed. Of course, I have to say, I do feel like I've been through a meat grinder some days. How about you?
Yeah, with recently the intensity of the energy. I don't share that same belief, Gwilda, that the center is a black hole. I believe that everything goes in a spiral. Some of the sacred geometry and the universe goes in a spiral pattern, and as we traverse through that center and we come out, the opposite, or the duality, or some of those things that no longer served us are coming as kind of up in front of us as to work through.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more that the energy is affecting us in that way. But what scientific evidence do you have behind because the theory right now is the black hole theory. What scientific evidence do you have, or knowledge do you have that refutes that?
Well, it's a belief, but it's also the channelings that I get from the elders of the universe. I channel a collective light being that share that information. But it's also some materials that NASA had also produced back around the 2012 time period as to where the galaxy was and where the solar system was moving at that time.
It's pretty amazing out there. I don't know how they even know what they do know about it. So how do you see this frequency, this shifting frequency affecting us right now?
Well, it's creating some chaotic energy for people that are not aware or don't have the vocabulary or the understanding as to what we are experiencing right now, that it's part of our evolution and that it is with purpose. And so I think a lot of things that we're seeing is chaos in the world. Some believe that there is an increase of people trying to mask or hide the energy, so that might be why we are experiencing more addictions to chemicals and drug abuse and those types of things, as people are struggling through this time with their energy. And I think if there are more, that's one of my purposes, is to teach, so to help people understand what they are feeling, what they're experiencing, what's normal. And I don't like that word normal, because we're all normal in one way or another, but giving them terms that they can put to their lives as to what they're experiencing, so that they don't feel so alone, or they don't feel so foreign in their own bodies or in their own skin.
So you're saying that what we're seeing when you talk about masking the energies, you're not talking about hiding them from each other so much as masking their effect on us. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. It's if we feel this pressure and it creates a sense of anxiety or stress or fear or a sense that we just can't handle or tolerate, that's one emotion or many emotions that it might push to the surface. And to deal with some of those foreign emotions or those foreign feelings or those uncomfortable feelings, people might be turning to behaviors to soften that or to mask it or not go through an evolution process.
So is there actually evidence of increase in substance abuse and alcoholism and all that fun stuff?
There is, from a pharmaceutical, from a medical community, and there's been some recent introductions, is my understanding. I'm not on Capitol Hill, but it's my understanding that there's been some recent introductions to how the professions are prescribing opiates and looking at some potential tighter restrictions around that, because there is an increase in that.
So there's quite an increase in substance abuse, whether it's pharmaceuticals or alcohol or anything else, huh? Well, Laurie, we're going to have to take a quick break. Laurie and I will return to our discussion after this short break. You're listening to The Science of Magic on the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Did you know that previous broadcasts of thought-provoking episodes can always be found on our website for free? www.thescienceofmagic.net. We will be back, so don't you go away. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is the Science of Magic, a place where magic and science come together to promote enlightenment. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Laurie Wondra, shaman, psychic medium, transformational energy healer, and author. Laurie, do you believe that, like Einstein alluded to, that frequency actually dictates reality?
Oh, interesting question. I believe that frequency does shift how we experience our life. And I believe that when we are in our divine frequency, we are more in alignment of our journey path.
What's a journey path?
Well, this would be, what's our purpose? You had asked me earlier what I believe my purpose is here on Earth, and I believe that my purpose is to be a teacher and an educator and a teacher of teachers and a healer of healers.
So do you believe that we can tap into different realities by consciously shifting our personal frequency?
I do, through meditation, through facilitation of moving up into higher frequencies. I do believe that there's different dimensions of energy and frequency that we can tap into. It's kind of like tuning a radio dial and picking up different wavelengths or different frequencies of the universe.
So that's basically what the shamanic skill or ritual does, isn't it? Is helps a person tune into different levels of frequency to do the work there?
To do the work there, yes, or to tap into other teachers. I think one of the things that I've experienced myself is many of my teachers are not of this earth. They are of other dimensions, or they are of other information. And certainly there are great teachers of this planet that I've learned from. But I think if we limit ourselves to just what we see or what's in front of us, that is a prohibitor. It's a limitation to really our evolution process.
Got it. So, let's face it, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly out there as far as disembodied spirits go. How can you tell who you're talking to and that they're a reliable source of information?
I feel incredibly protected. I have a belief system that I don't connect with the bad or the ugly, that I'm protected and the information that comes to me is for my divine highest purpose. And an old belief, and I actually, in one of my books, I wrote about it, is shielding myself from, and protecting myself. And my belief system has changed over time, in that I believe that I truly am protected as long as I'm working in the divine light, and I understand that it's for my divine higher purpose or my client's divine higher purpose. The lower frequencies or the bad don't have access to that.
So your protection is actually frequency.
Absolutely.
Okay, absolutely. So if a person is operating at a lower frequency, well, they're just getting started on this, they may have an issue with being able to discern the good, the bad from the ugly. Is that correct?
That is very correct. And you bring up a really good point, because many of my clients that I see one-on-one they experience being awoken in the middle of the night, or they just have bad things happening to them, and they are in that lower frequency. But also being in that place of fear keeps them in that lower frequency, because fear is in itself is a low frequency emotion.
Yeah, it's kind of like this vicious cycle. You're in a low frequency emotion because of fear, and yet the things that are coming at you at that level, it's like you're in shark waters, create more fear, and round we go. How can a person become more aware of consciously shifting their frequency in this situation?
It's to really be in touch with their emotions, being able to define the emotion that they're in. If they're experiencing stress, anxiety, fear, sadness, those are all typically lower frequency. And I teach to move yourself into love, compassion, happiness, joy, because when you're in that frequency, then the low frequencies, there's no room for that. You in itself, you've elevated yourself to a higher frequency. And that's the trick, is for people to identify techniques and tools to quickly move them out of a place of fear into a place of curiosity, maybe.
So how do you consciously do that?
It's to be aware. So be aware of your emotions. I suggest to people that they use mantras. So if they're in the middle of, let's say, fear, they've been awoken in the middle of the night, to invoke a mantra that they've created to invite protection in. Let's say invite Archangel Michael to come in and protect them. Have those techniques and tools that they can move themselves back into a place of power, not in a place of being reactionary or a place where they feel powerless, but taking back that control, taking back their own energy.
Doesn't Archangel Michael actually represent a frequency bandwidth that would be higher than fear?
Absolutely. And he is the archangel that removes fear and protects us and helps give us courage to face those situations. So he is a perfect angel to call in at that time. But there's other energies, other belief systems, other deities that also can be called in to assist. But Archangel is the one that I'm most familiar with. Yeah?
So how important is believing in these deities in this process?
I believe it is. It's really important because it also brings that control and that power back into your own source. The minute you give your energy to something else, you lose that power. And I think that's where fear can thrive, is when you give that up. So claiming that you have help around you, whether it's Archangel Michael or another energy, brings that source back to you.
What restricts our ability to manage our personal frequency? What do you think is the largest restriction right now?
I think it's fear. I think it is not taking time for personal evolution and personal development. A lot of what I see in my clients are people are operating outside their own energy field, maybe busy in their daily life, busy with tasks and activities and the doing versus just simply being in their energy field, and understanding what that means to be just in your energy field, not having to do something all the time.
I know you work with chakra systems, and I believe chakras interface with our auric field. Is the auric field what you're talking about, your energy field? Help me with this.
Yeah. When I look at people, Gwilda, I see their physical body, but then I also see an aura around them that represents their emotional field, their spiritual field, and their energy or their auric field. And those really are in alignment when your chakras are all in alignment. And sometimes when I look at people, they are out of focus, like those different dimensions are out of focus, or I might see perforations in those different energy fields. And that tells me, let's say I see perforation or a fuzziness around their emotional field. I know that that person doesn't necessarily understand their emotions, or they're in a position or a state in their emotions that they're not clear of their own power, or they're not clear of their own life journey or their life purpose.
That sounds kind of static in a way. When I observe these fields, they're constantly moving and shifting because we're constantly in process and moving from one state to the other. How do you factor that in?
Yeah, and we are shifting, and they expand and they contrast based on the situations that we're in. But the difference is if they totally disappear, or I can see holes in them versus a healthy, because there's a healthy energy field that contracts and expands and kind of moves in a synchronistic flow of the physical body. But if they're not in that synchronistic flow, then there's something off, and it might be that just a slight adjustment that person needs or is working on to get everything in line so that they can continue or they can expedite their evolution process.
I've heard it said that all illness originates in the auric field. Where do you stand on that? And can you explain it a little for us?
I would agree with that. I would agree with that because by the time it hits, or by the time we feel it in our physical body, it's permeated. It's gone through those other energetic fields that I just spoke about. And if we have healthy energetic fields and it's sustaining us at those levels, then our physical being also feels better.
Okay, so when we work shamanically, or when we work, frequency mastery wise and all that fun stuff, it's been my experience that we're actually running off of our personal frequency and modulating it according to what's needed by the person at the time. If that is the case, then how do we keep ourselves tuned up or from dropping into the frequency that's damaging to the other person?
Yeah, that's a great question. I get asked that question a lot, is how do I not take on that other person's energy? That's making sure that your own pipeline, and I just call it a pipeline, that you're connected to your own divine source of energy. And that might be, for me personally, I spend a lot of time out in nature, hiking or walking, just quiet, no headphones, no phone. I just connect with more pristine energy. Yoga, meditation, those practices that put you in a state of self-awareness of your I am energy, and then connecting with your divine light, or that divine. So you're connecting with your energy versus someone else's energy. And it is important that you take time to do that.
A lot of us live in a concrete jungle, if you will, at this point. Let's face it, a lot of us aren't as fortunate as you and I probably, being able to have access to nature in its raw form. What can they do?
Music is really good. So there's a lot of great frequency movies out. If people are familiar with the healing frequencies, I recommend the 528 hertz frequency 528 hertz, or the 432 hertz. Those are all readily available that you can play in the background or play while you sleep to heal or repair, or just to calm or infuse your energy field.
What is special about the 528 or the 432 hertz?
Those are, they're based on the solfeggio scale, where every note on the scale is tied to a chakra, and every note also has a hertz to it, and that's a measurable vibrational frequency. And there's music that's been produced based on those chakra systems or the energy of those chakras. So, for example, the 528 is believed to be more heart-centered, to help us work through evolution of heart, and the belief that the heart energy does propel us into our evolution at a higher or faster pace. It is where compassion and love comes from. The 432 hertz is believed to be DNA repair. So as we go through a healing, or as we go through shifts in our own life, in our physical or our emotional or auric fields, it is there to help us repair or help us escalate through those different experiences that we're having.
So the working with the 528 hertz and the 432 hertz is like tuning a piano in a way. Laurie, we're going to have to take another break. Laurie and I will be back on the flip side of this commercial break. You're listening to The Science of Magic on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net, the place where altruistic professionals of science and the esoteric create common ground for the betterment of our world. You can always listen to previous transformative broadcasts on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. We'll be back. Don't you go away. The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com. Welcome back. This is The Science of Magic, bringing together gifted people of service to the world. I'm your host, Gwilda Wiyaka. Our guest this hour is Laurie Wondra, shaman, psychic medium, transformational energy healer, and author. Laurie, we were talking about tuning up by listening to music if we can't get out in nature. How does getting out in nature help us rebalance our chakra system and our DNA?
Nature is pristine energy. So if you have an opportunity to be in an area where you can get out with trees or just get out on the land. Barefoot is better, but I understand there's some parts of the world that you can't get out barefoot. But it has a pristine energy, whether it's the trees or the greenery or the birds or other wildlife. It has and holds a higher frequency than our building, than our cement structures or our homes that we have.
So do you think that has to do with the elements or the elementals like we work with in shamanism?
Yes, I do. But also the earth itself carries a high frequency. So it's the elementals and the energetic beings that live on the planet, but it's also the planet itself. You have a great connection to the underworlds, the crystal beds, the water springs, the root systems, and those types of things.
You know, like I said in the beginning, as we move into a higher frequency area, the sun's heliosphere is speeding up or heating up or bringing more luminosity in, and that's bathing interplanetary space. Well, that is going, their toroidal fields or their energetic fields, their electromagnetic fields, the sun and the earth interact. And so that increased frequency is literally being drawn into the center of the planet. Is this how we can, by going outside, by being in nature, start to evolve with the times?
Absolutely. I have a belief system that the earth elevates first, and then the plant life on earth elevates, and then our animals elevate, and then we elevate. And so if we can interact with those kingdoms, those nature kingdoms, the plant and animal kingdoms, we then ourselves can tap into a higher frequency. And I believe that they ease our transition, making it a little bit gentler for us, making it calmer for us as we go through our own transformation.
Boy, I sure know that the animals around me and even my pets are such a source of solace for me at this time. Is that what you're talking about?
I am, and I'm noticing there's different animals that are coming forward. Here in the States, in Minnesota where I am, I'm noticing different variations of animals that just are presenting themselves more frequently to people. And people are commenting on that where they maybe hadn't seen a wild flock of turkeys in a while, now they're seeing many flocks of turkeys or coyotes or more deer, those types of things. So I think the animal kingdom is also acting in a way to help us.
Thank goodness for it. We need all the help we can get, huh?
I would agree with that, yes.
So you work with crystals to help an individual manage their frequency. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I do. So working in a engineering company for the first 17, 19 years of my IT career, I learned a lot about measuring of properties, and that would include being able to measure the vibrational frequency of land. And crystals are a natural earth product, and crystals contain their own vibrational frequency. And that frequency can help calm our chakra systems or our energy systems, or they can help elevate. And so if we're tired, we might want a particular crystal that elevates our energy field, or if we're stressed, we might want something that calms us. And so I use crystals a lot in actually healing or helping to balance people's energy work, but many of my clients actually, they have them in their offices, they might even sleep with them, and certainly have them in their homes to help balance the energy of wherever they need that balance.
You know, one way that I work, and whether it's with crystals or essential oils or tinctures, is if I work with the material long enough, all I have to do after a while is just draw it to mind, and I'm able to express that frequency into a healing session. Are you familiar with that? And can you explain that for us?
That seems extremely logical, and I love that you do that. I feel sometimes people like to hold. They simply like to hold the crystal because it gives them something to do. You know, we're such doers in this life. But I do a lot of remote work. I do a lot of phone work, people from all over the world. And when I work with my healing, I do draw in that energy for them. Or it is just pulling in that energy from the divine energy also.
Gotcha.
I do believe that.
One of your books addresses the chakra system. It seems to me there's as many different takes on chakras and what they mean as there are traditions that deal with them. How do you know which one's the right one?
That's being in close contact with what you're feeling in your physical body. And you touched on it earlier, you know, by the time we feel an illness, it's already gone through our energetic bodies. And so many people are in a state right now that if they're having chronic digestive problems or heart problems or lung problems, you almost have to work backwards out from the physical, then out to the energy fields. And most of the chakras, most people are familiar with the 7 chakras, but we both know that there are many more chakras in the energy fields that are now, and I'm excited to know that they're now being more recognized than just the 7 chakras, because we are more than just one dimension, and we're more than just one dimension of energy.
How do you see the increased frequency or light of the Aquarian age as affecting these chakras?
I think it's more awareness of the chakras, more awareness of their connectivity, and you had asked, how do you know which one? I think I'm seeing a blending of the chakras, for example, between the throat, the third eye, and the crown. It's that upper part of our body that's starting to blend into almost a new chakra or a different chakra that contains those 3. And that helps elevate us into the chakras that reside above the body. And that in itself allows us to be more connected to divine higher self or a higher state of frequency so that we can tap into the energy or the knowledge that we need to continue our evolution.
You know, a tree grows up and it grows the same distance down. And I also visually see the chakras as that way. Do you believe that there are chakras not only going above, but going below our body? And would you speak to that?
I do believe there's the lower below the feet. And we talked about balance earlier, and I think it's incredibly important for people to work those chakras both equally below as upward. Many times I see people that are not grounded. We use the term not grounded, and that might be that I see their energy field just floating above their physical body, and they're not in their physical body. It's like they're not even connected. They don't feel what's going on in their body. And one way to get us back equally balanced is to work on the chakras that are below our feet and connect to the root systems. As I mentioned earlier, the root systems, the crystal systems, the water systems that are below the planet. If we think about it in those terms, we can connect our chakras also to those physical properties that reside below the earth.
So you see the chakras that go below our body as anchoring in the earth proper, or do you see it going into a equal but opposite, positive, negative kind of realm?
That's a great question. I see them as being below the earth as a way to ground. But that's an interesting point because there's no reason why it can't go equally below as equally above into divine energy.
It would occur to me that it would be necessary to keep balance, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another way to look at it. Or to look at it, I think it's the connection that the earth elements bring in for us. A lot of times I believe the earth elements do that work for us so that we don't have to focus so hard on that.
And the stars do it for us on the higher chakras? Do you see it that way?
Yeah, they do. But I think we've been taught because we walk on earth, we have perhaps more of a natural connection to earth than we do to the stars. I also think that many times when people are working on their own evolution, they're taught or they believe they have to go up and outward from their body through their head versus going also downward and connecting with what is below them.
That's so important because we've been taught higher and higher, and we've become ungrounded, and we can't pull in even the information, valid information that we're accessing. Is this what you're talking about?
It is. And I think many of us are linear thinkers, and so we think upward or we think downward versus dimensional. And I think what we're going to experience in the next few years is more teachings and educations and awareness of the dimensions that come, that it's not an up or down, but it's more circular.
Yeah, it kills me. They say, well, there's a flare on the opposite side of the sun, so it won't affect the Earth. Come on. We interact in circles through our electromagnetic fields as people and as planets. So that makes perfect sense, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything is connected.
It's so fun to know that. And it's comforting, too, isn't it? We are not alone. Time just flies, Laurie, and I really have enjoyed our time together. Until next time, our guest this hour has been Laurie Wondra. She's a shaman, a psychic medium, and a transformational energy healer. Her services and books can be found on her website, www.yourlifecore.com. This has been The Science of Magic. Remember, you can always listen to past thought-provoking episodes on our website, www.thescienceofmagic.net. Until next time, dear ones, may you be blessed with knowledge and comforted with love as you embrace the ever-changing natural order of life.